All right, hi everybody. It is me, your health coach Callie, coming to you live from my kitchen. Boy, today was a day. It was the Cap City Half Marathon, which I decided in September because of a group of inspirational people to train for, and today was the day for the half marathon. And I must say that I finished in record time, 2 hours and 36 minutes, which when we were training, it took me 2 hours and 45 minutes to run 12 miles. So I was really, really proud of myself. And so I say that to say, and I'm 53, so there's that part. And this is my second half marathon. So anyway, I don't know if it's the energy of all the people being there that you just start to run faster, but I tell you, by the time I got to mile 11, I was like, yes, I made it. I can do it. I got 2 miles left to go, and I'm in the building. I'm in the building. So I want to talk about my post-race fuel. What do I do for the post-race fuel? So first thing you need to know about me is that I am plant-based. I've been plant-based now for at least 15 years because my son is 19, so I normally use him as a gauge. And the reason why I became plant-based is because I had a lot of female issues, a lot of hormonal imbalances, just a lot of mucus buildup that showed up in the form of fibroids because my body was so acidic at the time. And this was when I was in my early 30s. I was actually faced with potentially being infertile, not being able to have a baby because they said, oh, if these fibroids keep coming back and getting worse, you're gonna have to have a hysterectomy. And I was like, oh no, I'm not. I wanna have a baby. I wanna be fruitful and cover the earth with children, which I ended up having one, but I do have bonus children, so that's a good thing too. But nonetheless, they said you're gonna have to get a hysterectomy if things get worse. And I decided at that point that that was not an option for me, just because that was the choice that I made for myself at the time. So I decided to do my own research and looked into a lot of different things, read a lot of books. There was one book in particular, it was called Fibroids or Healing Fibroids Naturally or something like that. I'll post it when I'm done with this video so you guys can see and maybe benefit from the book as well. But everything in the book talked about the benefits of nutrition and diet and exercise being a way to heal yourself from fibroids. So I was hooked from that moment on. It was all about diet. It was all about being physically active. And so I completely changed my life. Now, I did not do it all in one day because some people think, well, I do have an aunt that said that the doctor said that she had a spot on her lungs and that she needed to quit smoking, and she stopped smoking that day. But most people aren't like that, right? Most people aren't like that. We need time to transition, especially if it's something that we've been doing for such a long time. So I have been eating a certain way for 30 years, right? I didn't know anything different. So I started out vegetarian, which means I incorporated more fruit and vegetables into my lifestyle. Y'all, I didn't even drink water back then, honestly. I did not drink water hardly at all. My beverage of choice was like Mountain Dew, Sprite, any soda you could potentially get, I would drink it. And so I wasn't very healthy in that way either. So I started drinking more water as well. So I transitioned from, started out, took pork out of my diet, then I took beef out of my diet, then I took chicken, and eventually I took also eggs and fish out of my diet. So this was a transition over several years. So if you're thinking to yourself, I want to make a change in my lifestyle, don't feel like you have to go cold turkey, all in, feet, whole body forward. You don't have to do that, because a lot of times what ends up happening is when you have a moment of weakness, you feel like you have failed and you want to give up. So I'm telling you now, don't give up, but just do it in phases. If you know that you are a person that needs to have like plant-based transitionary foods, that is perfectly fine, because there's still some benefit in the fact that you're going from a carnivore lifestyle to a plant-based lifestyle. Even if you're eating some of the plant-based foods that are more processed, I would still say that's a better transitionary thing. But no, don't do that forever. So complete transparency for you guys. So I'm 53 now, and I started out with like Boca burgers. Those of you that have been around for a while, you know, Boca burgers was really popular back then amongst the vegetarian world, Boca burgers and some other stuff. So I started out with that, and then the more that I became educated about this plant-based lifestyle, it was like, that's probably not that good for me. So I'm going to transition to making my own plant-based food and trying to get it as natural as possible. So then I transitioned to like pastas and making black bean burgers, or getting black bean burgers from like Costco and things like that. And then again, through more education, realized, probably not the best thing either. So let me make another transition. Now let's fast forward to in my late 40s. I was doing fine. And I moved to a certain place in the United States that is amazing for food, Atlanta, Georgia. And there's so many plant-based restaurants in Georgia. Like, oh my God, they got this plant-based game down to a science. So there's plant-based pizzas, there are breakfast restaurants that have, you know, plant-based food, and there's like just a plethora. We know plant-based burger joints that started in Atlanta. So literally you could probably go anywhere within a 10-mile radius and find something that is dedicated to plant-based food. However, it's still junk food. So you still have to be careful, right? You still have to be careful. And I was not careful. I was just super excited to be moving from Michigan to Georgia, where everything was just flavorful and vibrant and delicious. I started eating more processed food, but they began to package the processed food. So we know Boca burgers weren't good for us, right? But then they began to package processed food differently. So you've got the impossible meats, you've got the other meats that you know, are heavily processed. And not only that, they started to tell you, well, you know, we've made this new plant-based chicken, and just all these things that are delicious to eat but not good for you. So plant-based cheeses and creams and nuts and donuts and cupcakes and cookies, oh my, all the things, right? And so I was partaking in that. I literally was partaking in that. You know, vegan brunches were amazing. They've got plant-based biscuits, but you still get all of the trans fats in there if they're even making plant-based biscuits, because they're just not using water or eggs, but they are still using flour for the most part that causes a lot of inflammation. And so I got to a point where I started to not feel good. Honestly, I just was not feeling the greatest. And my blood pressure was always really, really good, but it had started to creep up to be a little bit more than what I wanted to see it. And so I was like, I got to do something different. Went to the doctor, did some blood work. There were some other things that were a little bit out of whack. And suddenly I'm in menopause. And with all the things that come along with menopause, the hot flashes, the brain fog, I did not experience the thing about libido, just so y'all know. So I didn't have that, thank God. But libido issues, vaginal dryness, all the things. I didn't experience those last two things, but I experienced the hot flashes very, very badly, as well as the brain fog and some of the other things, the weight gain. So I work out. I like to strength train. I like to run, hence the half marathon, which I did a full marathon, 26.2 miles back in 2001 before I had my first child. And I say that to say I am very active. So the things that I was doing even 2 years ago was not helping me. Even running all these miles, training for the half marathon, I literally was not losing weight. I wasn't even really losing inches. So it's something about the hormone imbalance. Your cortisol levels, if you're stressed out, you know, they go through the roof, which also lends to you not being able to shed the weight. So, you know, I could just stop drinking soda for a week and lose 10 pounds back in the day. But now it's not that easy. So when you see one of your sisters out there and, you know, they are of a certain age and they've gained weight, don't look down on them. Bless them, you know, embrace them, because I know that it is a challenge. It's a challenge to get to the gym every single day. It's not a challenge to get to the gym, but it's a challenge when you go to the gym every single day. You strength train, you run, you cycle, you spin, you take Zumba classes, you take ultra fit classes, you do all the things, alpha strength, GTX, and you don't see the weight coming off, and then you're losing muscle tone on top of that. And I'm just one of those people, again, as I transition from, plant-based junk food to whole foods, and then back to plant-based junk food, and now back to whole foods again. It's a transition, and I like to be as natural as I possibly can, so I don't want to do HRT. And I hear that it's safe, and if you are a person that's doing HRT, good for you, keep doing it. I'm happy for you as long as it's working for you, but I just don't want to put anything extra foreign in my body. So I say all that to say, this is a video where I am making my post-run food, okay? Post-run food. So I already ate. I had a couple of bananas. They had some other stuff there like Gatorade and some packaged things, which I don't eat, and pizza. And of course, it probably wasn't going to be plant-based anyway. And there's just something about bread that it makes me look and feel puffy after I eat it. So that is something else that I had to take out of my diet and realize that I just can't eat that. But there are other ways. So plant-based raw pizza, which is amazing, or you can make like pizza with mushroom caps, and that is amazing as well. So anyway, there are ways that you can still eat the things that you love and not sacrifice your health, your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, because really people don't realize that the food that we consume can absolutely affect our mental health, not only our physical health and our weight, but our mental health as well. So I've just decided that I want to be healthier and live a long life. My son told me I need to live to 106, which I plan to do. But I told him I don't want to just live till I'm 106. I want to live healthy and be active and have a certain quality of life. Hold on one second. My dog is having an issue. I'm going to go take care of that. Be right back. All right, here I am. So anyway, I don't want to just have live. I want to live and live strong. I want to live healthy. I want to be vibrant. I want to be able to do all the things that I can do now at 53. I still want to be able to do them at 86. And there are plenty of people that have shown that you can still be very, very active well into your 80s, even into your 90s. I've got a 90-something-year-old aunt who literally just stopped driving. Just stopped driving. She's like 96, I believe now. She stopped driving probably at 95. But she was always very, very active. So anyway, I say that to say, when you're making a transition, don't beat yourself up. Slow and steady wins the race. You're gonna make some mistakes, and you're going to figure out at the end of the day what works for you. So what works for me now is more whole foods and juicing and raw foods more so than cooked food for sure. So I'm trying to transition to like 100% raw. I'm not quite there yet, but I will tell you I am much closer to where I want to be than I was a year ago, that's for sure. So I'm probably about 80% raw, but I can go a full week and eat completely raw food. But today I'm gonna make some pasta. So what are we making? So this is brown rice and quinoa pasta. So I'm going to make a delicious pasta with this because I feel like it doesn't have the same effect on your blood sugar. And I'm not a big fan of that chickpea pasta because whenever I eat it, it actually makes my stomach bloat and gives me gas, and I don't like that. And I don't know why it does that, but this one does not. So it's brown rice quinoa pasta that I got from Trader Joe's. So I'm gonna start by boiling this first and foremost. And I like to cook with a lot of fresh vegetables and herbs. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some water on here so that way we can get our pasta going. And then I'll show you guys what else I'm making in the pasta. And really, for plant-based, somebody told me that owns a great restaurant in Detroit. It's called Detroit Vegan Soul. She's a chef, but she makes amazing dishes. And she told me early on, the best thing to know about cooking plant-based food is that you put as much love into it that you put into making other food. So whether it's got meat in it or not, you just season it up and just give it all the flavor that you would give anything else. So really, it's not rocket science, right? So, okay, cooking the pasta. So we're gonna let that boil, and what I have here are some marinated artichokes. So I'm gonna cut these up, and then I also have some sun-dried tomatoes, which gives it a really, really rich flavor. I like to use fresh basil. I actually have a fresh basil plant over there, but because I don't want this to go bad, which it looks like some of it is going bad, I'm gonna use some of this, and then I'm gonna actually mix in some spinach into the dish as well. I do have fresh tomatoes, so I'm probably gonna use that. And then I'm gonna show you one of my favorite seasonings that I like to use these days as well. So garlic is your friend. Garlic is definitely your friend. And I'm gonna show you guys one of my favorite seasonings when I'm making plant-based food. This is garlic, onion, black pepper, and salt. So I don't use a whole lot of salt, so you probably won't see me putting like regular salt unless it calls for it, or I'm making like a salad or something like that. I do like this. My niece turned me on to this. Her and her now husband, Complete Seasoning Sazon Completa by Badia. I guess that's how you pronounce that. And then I have some garlic powder, and then some nutritional yeast to give it like a little cheesy flavor. But I do have some fresh garlic, so I'm gonna grab that out of the refrigerator too. And you guys, don't laugh. I literally just learned how to cut garlic the appropriate way. All right, so back to my health journey. So for a long time, after I decided to transition to a plant-based diet, plant-based lifestyle rather, back then we just called it vegan. I know now everybody gets all crazy about wording, but I mean, I don't care. It's all about just eating fruit and vegetables. Fruit, vegetables, and herbs. How about that? So once I started researching, back to the story, once I started researching all about food and how it affects our overall health, certainly women's issues, I decided to make a change. So I made the change. I transitioned slowly, but I cut out alcohol. I cut out caffeine. I did all the things and started drinking water. So for those of you that don't drink water, here's a little tip for you. If you don't drink water, guess what? You're not gonna like water until you start drinking it. But believe you me, your body is gonna be so happy when you start drinking water. Your body is made up of 80% water, so we have to replace it. Drinking all those energy drinks and stuff like that is just full of sugar and salt. You don't want that, especially long term. And I learned something from a cardiologist a long time ago. He said that those energy drinks, if you're not like a top athlete, say training for the Olympics, or you're a professional basketball player or football player, whatever, you should not be drinking those energy drinks because it's so high in sugar. If you're just gonna drink that because you just went to the gym for an hour, that's not good enough. It's not gonna do well for your blood sugar, and long term, just not good, because sugar causes inflammation. So, and then the chemicals and how they process it and all that. So water, water, water. Replace water every day. Like eight glasses of water at the minimum. They say half of your body weight in water. So say you weigh 120 pounds, you should be drinking 60 ounces of water a day. All right, so this is my water. I'm replenishing from obviously the half marathon that I ran today. So make sure that you're drinking plenty of water. Don't get hung up in, is it alkaline? Is it this? Is it that? If you don't drink water, just start. Just start. So there was a time, I got a new microphone too, guys. I should be using that. So there was a time when I was really health coaching. So this was after I started learning all about nutrition, and I decided I want to be a health coach. I want to teach the children teach the children the way they should go, and when they get adults, they become adults, they will not depart from it, right? So I wanted to teach the children at an early age the benefits of eating more healthy foods, incorporating more healthy foods, because our kids were wilding for a minute there with all those darn spicy Cheetos. Everything had some spice in it. And then you hear that these kids are getting ulcers at 10, 11, 12 years old, and heart disease and high blood pressure and all kind of crazy stuff. So I was like, yeah, no. So anyway, I created a nonprofit organization at the time, and it was called Next Generation Fit Kids. And I was going around to a lot of community centers, doing a lot of events in the city of Detroit, teaching kids how to eat better, and then in turn teaching their parents how to eat better. So with that being said, I remember doing one workshop. It was at the Matrix Center, and this was for parents in addition to the children. And I remember one parent, we were talking about water, and she was like, well, does Mountain Dew and tea count? And I'm like, no, ma'am, it does not count. She was like, I literally drink 2 6-packs of Mountain Dew a day. And the reason why she knew that is because she would take 2 6-packs of Mountain Dew with her to work, and she would drink them by the time her 8, 10, 12-hour shift was over. And oh my God, could you guys imagine, number one, just the level of caffeine in that, but then on top of it, the sugar is insane. The sugar is insane. I mean, it's like, I don't know, a full cup of sugar in 1 can of soda. And there was another parent that was drinking like 2-liter bottles of soda every day. So he actually stopped at the time. I hope he stopped. He's still drinking more water, incorporating more water. So anyway, was conducting the workshops, Next Generation Fit Kids. And then I decided to get a personal training certification. So I did that through the Institute of National Personal Training Institute. I did that. And I was still in my late 30s, early 40s at the time. Late 30s. And then I decided to go to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which was amazing for me. They have this certification where you can become an amazing health coach. They teach you everything you need to know. And it's like a 2-year-long process. And I was like, between the personal training certification and going to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, I was like, I should have just become a doctor because it was that intense. Both of them were that intense. Learning about all the parts of the body and just everything, food. And did y'all know that most physicians even today, only get 2 weeks of nutrition? So say they go to school for 8 years or 10 years in some case, they get a week or 2 of nutrition education. Which to me, when you go to the doctor and you wonder why your doctor, why didn't they tell me about diet and exercise? Well, actually they do, because diet and exercise is literally the first line of defense. So when you go in and you've got some type of chronic disease, they'll tell you, you have to commit to diet and exercise. And they give you like a little sheet of paper that talks about, walking 30 minutes a day, maybe strength training, incorporating more fruits and vegetables into your diet. They give you all those things, but then you come back to the doctor 3 months later, not having done any of it. And now your blood pressure is even more elevated. Your cardiovascular system, your heart, is worse off than it was, and you are at risk for having a heart attack or a stroke. And so again, we gotta figure out ways to incorporate more fruit and vegetables. Did you guys know that people have actually cured themselves from many diseases just by, number one, rehydrating the body and incorporating fruits and vegetables as in their natural form as possible? Because we cook the nutrients out of everything. Like, we cook collard greens and we make them cook those things on the stove for like 10 hours. I certainly used to. My family's from Mississippi, so I thought that was what we were supposed to be doing. Then found out later on, like, no, that's really not. It's not a good look. Right? So if you cut up your greens as small as possible, you can actually saute them in some onion and garlic and carrots and make yourself a little mirepoix, whatever you want to do, and they come out like amazing. You don't have to have hog maws and turkey legs and all that stuff in there. And you can even use like what is it called? Kitchen bouquet, if you want that like smoky flavor, or some other like little plant-based like coconut aminos, and what's the other thing that I use? Coconut aminos. I'm drawing a blank, but coconut aminos works perfectly in collard greens. So try that out. Fresh onion, fresh garlic, and coconut aminos. Cut up your greens really, 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 really thin and saute them. Oh my God, it is just the best. So flavorful, and we have not cooked all the nutrients out. And even better is making them raw. All right, so here's my marinated artichokes, and I like to look at the label. Always look at the label too. So in this is artichoke water. Not all that happy about the sunflower oil or the cane vinegar in here, but it has garlic powder, sea salt, and other spices, which you don't know. So you can just buy fresh artichoke and just, you know, marinate it in something and make it yourself at home, honestly. But today, this is what we got, and we're not going to beat ourselves up about it because we are still, again, what? Incorporating more vegetables into our diet. All right, so I'm going to cut this up pretty thinly, or smaller, let's just say that. And those of you that look at how I'm using a knife, don't come for me. Because I know y'all gonna come for me. Or just share lightly the details on how I can do better with my knife action in the kitchen. Now, I've been cooking for a long time, and the incidents, I will say, in the kitchen are very far and few between, so I'm happy about that. All right, so we're gonna cut that up really small. Sometimes if I have olives, I will put some black olives in it as well. Ooh, if you've not had pasta with black olives, baby, let me tell you, it is delicious. All right, so I think I've cut this up pretty good. I'm getting ready to get a bowl so I can put all this in. Pasta is cooking. Let's see, let me get a bowl. Hold on, be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. All right, so now I've got my bowl of artichoke and garlic. Put all that in my little pan to saute it. And you know what you can do? You can use this exact same recipe and make yourself some zoodle, so therefore it's raw, it's not cooked. And maybe I'll do that later on in the week to show you guys. It's super good and very flavorful. You just, again, season it just like you would anything else. All right, so I'm going to my sun-dried tomatoes, and let's see what's in here. Ingredients: 100% sun-dried tomatoes. Yay! So we are happy about that. I'm gonna cut these up a little bit. The thing about sun-dried tomatoes is you wanna make sure you have a very, very sharp knife, because otherwise you won't be able to cut them. Now, the thing about sun-dried tomatoes too, because I'm trying to cut back on the oil that I'm eating, again, because I am a person of a certain age and these things affect me. Like, they affect my hormone level. They affect, you know, hot flashes and all that. So I'm trying to stay away from oil as much as I possibly can. So I get the dry sun-dried tomatoes, but they do make it in like olive oil as well. But I like this just fine. All right, so I'm cutting up my little sun-dried tomato. Oh. I wish I could play music for you guys. I like to play music when I'm preparing food just because it just makes me happy, and I like to dance in the kitchen when I'm making food, but y'all know they not gonna post the video if I use copyrighted information. So anyhow, we won't play any music, but I'm wondering what kind of music will we be playing. So I'm old school. I love like the OJs. I play Anita Baker. I like the Temptations, Herb Alpert. We play a lot of jazz here, and I've also lately been listening to Beethoven's. So it's reintroducing you to Beethoven or something like that. I've been listening to that lately as well. I do enjoy it. All right, so we've got that. done. So we got our sun-dried tomatoes, we've got our artichokes, and my little basil is looking bad. So I'm gonna just use this little piece of basil and probably this one because these are the ones that look the best, and toss this. The thing that I love, well, let's just say I have a love-hate relationship with it, but the thing that I love about fresh is that it doesn't last long, so you know that it's fresh, right? So if you got something that, and it's in the kitchen and it's gonna, you know, not spoil for like months, then it's probably not the best for you because your body does not recognize that as food. Do you guys keep your jars? I know back in the day, our moms used to keep the jars, and I just don't have the bandwidth to keep a bunch of jars because I'm trying to like be as minimal as possible in this part of my life, not collect a bunch of things and have to clean a bunch of things. Remember back in the day, we had so many trinkets, we had to dust all that. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to live my best life, trying to have a great career, trying to just accomplish all the things that I want to accomplish, and cleaning up and wiping down a bunch of trinkets and all that stuff is just not part of my overall goal in life. All right, so here we go. Organic baby spinach. So I do not cut this up, but I'm gonna rinse it and I'm gonna put some spinach in as well. And back to the fact that I do not use oil. So I don't use a lot of oil at all. So you may decide you want to put, you know, olive oil or whatever like that into your dish. So I'm going to set this to the side because what I have here, the artichoke and the sun-dried tomatoes, is going to take a little bit longer for it to kind of soften up. The spinach is like lickety split. It's soft enough. All right, so I think the pasta is done. It's definitely done. So I'm gonna take the pasta and drain it and set it to the side. Look, I got my fruit soaking so I can make the hydration boost juice. So that's the other thing. I wanna make sure that I stay extremely hydrated. The last time I ran long miles, I did not hydrate enough and my blood pressure dropped really, really low. So you don't want that. You don't want that. So I'm gonna make something called hydration boost juice. Hold on, I'm trying to find a little mat here. All right, hydration boost juice, which has black grapes or red grapes, red apples, green apples, and pears. All right, so get ready to strain this, and then I'm gonna set it to the side after I actually strain it. Let's use this so we don't burn ourselves. So I'm gonna set the pasta to the side, and then I'm gonna saute the rest of these vegetables in the same pot. Again, easy peasy. All right, so we've got our sun-dried tomatoes, we've got our garlic, and we've got our artichoke, and we've got our basil. I'm just gonna put all that in here. Like to use wooden spoons like we used to back in the day. And remember, I set the spinach to the side, so we're gonna hold off on that for a minute. I'm gonna saute this up just a little bit so the sun-dried tomatoes can get a little softer. Next time, y'all, I'm definitely gonna use my microphone, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. And you know, you don't have to use oil. You can just use water to saute. And then when you put your seasoning in there, that's what's gonna season it up. Or if you like, you can use some vegetable broth. But I just put a little bit of water in there because you're gonna put liquid in the pasta anyway, right? All right, so my seasonings again is the garlic, onion, and a little bit of sea salt and black pepper. I put some more garlic because I love garlic, and garlic is actually very good for you. And then I'm going to use the body seasoning. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in there as we are sauteing our food. Okay. A little more garlic. All right. And again, we're doing all this without oil. No oil needed. Hold on, I'll be right back. Dog is barking in the background. So I am almost done with this. Oh, so I'm sauteing sun-dried tomatoes, the artichoke, and the basil and garlic. All right, so I think that's soft enough and it smells amazing. Now I'm gonna put my spinach in there. We got one more piece of basil. I love basil. Don't y'all love the taste of basil and anything Italian? It makes it like so delicious. All right, so I'm gonna put some spinach in there. The spinach already has a lot of water, so again, you don't have to use oil because that is going to help reduce heart disease. So any extra oil that you use, along with the butter that we use all day, the fats that we're eating, the nuts and seeds that you may be eating, and certainly the meat, it's just gonna cause you to elevate your cholesterol level, which is not good. And sometimes we don't think about that. Every little bit, everything that we do to make our dishes healthier is gonna help our heart health for sure. All right, so I'm sauteing this. And then we'll let that cook just a little bit down. And now I'm gonna put in the pasta. That looks and smells amazing. All right, here's our pasta. So I bought the traditional pasta sauce, but you can make your own too, but we're not gonna make our own because again, remember I said I ran 13.2 miles today, so we're making this easy as possible. Anyway, so I'm gonna use this, but I also checked the label because I don't want sugar in it. I certainly don't want high fructose corn syrup in it and no meat and oil and stuff like this. So this is just essentially traditional Italian marinara sauce. But I'm gonna season the pasta just a little bit more again, because now we got all the other stuff in there because we want the seasonings to be all throughout. We want it to be all throughout, right? Adding a little bit of nutritional yeast. Turn the heat down a little bit. And now I'm going to add the sauce. There was a time when I would like smother this in sauce, but I don't do that anymore. I just like to let the natural flavors of all the herbs and spices come through. Okay. I feel like if this had some black olives, it would be even more amazing than what it is gonna be, but it's still gonna be amazing nonetheless. All right, so I've talked to you guys about my health journey and what got me to the point that I am today. So future videos you will see, and I've actually posted quite a few videos already about just making raw food. I actually went and down into the basement and pulled my dehydrator out. And I'm gonna start making some dehydrated items as well. And then I decided that I would no longer use my air fryer because I used to make a ton of air fried tofu, which I love tofu. I like to make tofu scrambles. I like to make barbecue tofu, teriyaki tofu for like, you know, bowls and all the things. But I decided that I would no longer use my air fryer. I'm just gonna use my dehydrator and again, stick to as much raw food as possible. All right, so I think we should be good on our pasta. It doesn't take long because everything's already really cooked. Put some in a bowl. Turn the heat down a little bit. And we are ready. All right, here it is. So even on a plant-based diet, it's easy to overeat because you feel like, oh, well, I'm just eating this or I'm just eating that, and, you know, eating a lot of vegetables. But you want to give your body the opportunity to heal itself. And digestion takes a very, very long time, believe it or not. And so if you're not giving your body enough time to digest the food and also heal itself, you're always in digesting mode and never in healing mode. That's another reason why you don't want to eat late at night, like after 7, 8 o'clock at night, because really your body is starting to kind of, you know, get into sleep mode. So what that means is it doesn't want to be focused on digesting. It wants to focus on you going to sleep and also healing itself in the middle of the night. So, you know, you want to be careful. All right, but this is our pasta that we made for today. And I know it's going to be delicious. But you guys have a wonderful day. I am going to end this now and just say happy health and wealth, prosperity, wishing you all the joy and love that you can possibly stand. And stay tuned for more videos about just preparing food, transitioning to my more raw food, whole food lifestyle, and making more juices and all that. And you guys make it an amazing day. Peace.